A close matchup between Notre Dame Fighting Irish and California here with a 90-79 finish as the Lady Irish take the win. And what a good matchup this one was. Notre Dame found a way to sneak out of the win. And you look at it and it's an 11-point victory for Notre Dame, Steve, right? And that was something that the score doesn't reflect how good this game was. But Jada Curry for California looked fantastic. And Dara Mabry, and when they said the name, I had to double take the look because I'm still kind of a little bit in WNBA mode, and I know her sister plays for Dallas, and they look almost identical when you look at it. You can tell they're related. But she had a fantastic outing in this one. I mean, her three ball is one of the most exciting three balls in all of college basketball. She shot real good on this one. She had 16 points, 3 assists, and of course, just seeing the great play by Notre Dame is really fun. We see them go to 2-0, and they are proving why they are a top 10 team in the country.
Notre Dame, and their coach is pretty outspoken about not being really comfortable with the transfer portal, but that didn't really affect the decisions made because they had to bring some players in. So it's interesting. I think it's good to have challenges early in the year. Notre Dame is just one of those teams, and I don't know why it is. I think people take them for granted, both on the men's side, but especially on the women's side. I think they just take them for granted, like, oh yeah, and Notre Dame. You go through all these teams, and it's blah blah blah. Oh, and Notre Dame. So I think I believe they have a pretty challenging schedule early. I mean, I didn't look at the schedule before we came on here, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch this game yet. I'm trying to limit myself to 12 to 20 games per day, and I just haven't gotten to this one yet.
Yeah, you got to get Notre Dame. You got to get the Notre Dame ladies in, and you're right. You are right, and I hate to cut you off, but you're right, and they do have a tough schedule. Really, more in December. They play Maryland and UConn. They play Virginia Tech. All of that in the month of December. But this team. I know you haven't got to this game yet, and I know you will, because usually that's what we do when we each pick our 5 here. We not all the time are your 5 and my 5 games that we've watched, and that's why we like to have these conversations. Hey, if you haven't checked out this team, check them out. But we talked about Mabry, about this Notre Dame squad, but I think, and this is why I think you should watch this game and watch more of the Lady Irish this year. Olivia Miles might be the best facilitator in all of women's college basketball. She can dish it. I think she had 10 assists in this game. Yeah, 10 assists, 13 points. Her stats don't look amazing with the exception of her assists, but she has the biggest impact on the court for this Irish team. And you can just tell the leadership that she has, and she's only a sophomore. I mean, she is so fun to watch. She's not going to beat you with her speed. She's not going to maybe beat you with her impressive shots or anything. Now, she does have a decent shot, but it's nothing that's going to make you just be wow. But when you see her pass the ball and facilitate it, and she's a game changer. And that's something to really be excited about. All 30 of her minutes were so impactful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. I mean, good job on Cal too. Cal played really good. Curry is another one of those players like Miles, not on that level, but like Miles that can facilitate the ball and do a really good job. She scored 24. I think she's a better shooter than Miles is, but Miles is definitely one of the best facilitators and wins that game. Cal was very one-dimensional in that one, and it really relied along Curry, and I think that's what hurt him towards the end. But this game stayed close until the very end, and then Notre Dame kind of took away from it, ran away. 42% from the three-point line. Led by Mabry on that one. She was 2 for 6, but 16 points on that. Really enjoyed this matchup with Notre Dame. But I think Cal's going to be a team that we pay attention to all season, Steve.
Yeah, and it's like, when you have Stanford in your conference, it's just like, we were talking earlier about South Carolina and gushing about them and talking about how wonderful they are. Stanford, another dominating kind of team. So a team like Cal that has, I think, some nice balance and some really good players on that team, they're going to get overlooked a little bit. And speaking of overlooked, I'm glad you brought up Miles, because I went back. I went back, and because we did feature them in our women's previews. We didn't go as in depth in the women's side as we did on the men's. I mean, in fairness, I think, our women's, other than maybe the top teams in the thing, we're more of a regional. We're following the women's in the A10, or for me, it's in the Ivy League. In the
Yeah, we
Big East.
were. Yeah, were our history there, but
I mean, now,
better.
now we need to kind of branch out a little bit more. And I think, even though we mentioned Miles and what a great court presence that she has, I don't think that we went deep enough into that. So I'm glad you brought it up here with this game, because again, she is a difference maker, and she's the type of player, like you said, she has an okay shot. I don't know that I think it's more inconsistent than a mechanical problem. I think it's just an inconsistent. Sometimes it takes a while to get into a rhythm, So, but you watch the game, and you can't take your eyes off her. I mean, you're just like, wow, because she seems to be doing a little bit of everything. So, I mean, kudos to her. Notre Dame is going to be in the conversation. It would be great if they're a Final Four team. I don't know if they're there, but the amount of transfers that had to come in, I think maybe makes me a little less confident that they're a Final Four contender. But again, I mean, Notre Dame is going to be good. Pac-12 women's basketball, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on it on the Pac-12 network. So you're going to see basically every game at some point during the course of a week. So if you don't get the Pac-12 network, or you have it, you don't get to it very often. If you're a fan of basketball, men or women's, but there's going to be a lot of terrific women's basketball action on the Pac-12 network this year. I really highly encourage you to get involved, especially if you're on the East Coast. They do the replays quite often with the Pac-12 network, so you can always catch it, or you can DVR it, or you can record it, whatever it would be. There's going to be some really terrific talent that you're going to get exposed to that we haven't got to yet, but during the course of our season's coverage, we're going to be delving a lot on the women's side for the Pac-12.
I know it's early, and I know we're already kind of giving like the little teeny thoughts of they could make the Final Four, they could make the Elite Eight, whatever. That's what makes this fun, right? But I would disagree with your early thoughts about Notre Dame maybe being a Final Four team. And if we had to go off just recent bias, which that's all we have right now,
right.
If you look at this game against Cal, which was a tough game for them, they found a way to get all five of their starting five in double digits, and Marshall, who came off the bench, had 9. So they were very close to having 6 of their players in double digits. That's very impressive, showing the diversity of this squad. And if you had some question marks about the transfers, like you were stating, that might answer some of your questions, that they're finding a way to work together. We'll see how it gels out as the season gets along and once they get in the ACC play, because ACC women's is no joke. It's no walk in the park. Speaking about Cal, as we end this here segment, they get an early Christmas present. December 23rd, they get to take on Stanford. So we'll see if they like that one.